welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelley. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader. I read tarot and oracle for just regular psychological well-being. I believe that symbols speak to us every day, and I find a great solace in pulling cards just to kind of reflect on my own thoughts, on my own dreams, and on my own subconscious, the images in my own self-conscious. And I started this channel to share that knowledge with others. I hold card readings twice a week on Tuesdays and on Saturdays. And on Tuesdays I do what I call my How to Tarot series. And that is where I go, each week I pull one card from the traditional 78 deck tarot, and we analyze the symbols in that card. And then we also, following the analysis, we do a personalized card reading based on that card. On Saturdays, I do a weekly energies reading, which is where you pick one of 3 decks, and from that deck I will kind of pull your energies and read what is a potential kind of overall theme for your week. Now, if you want to jump straight to the reading, I'm going to go through a few brief announcements in the beginning here, but if you'd like to skip straight to the reading, the timestamps for both the pick a deck and your the deck that you choose will be found in the description box below. In addition, I list the names and authors of all of the decks that I use, and I will go over more details about the stones and the different backgrounds for everything during the introduction or the beginning of the video. So to get started, I just wanted to first thank everyone who has liked, commented, and subscribed. I have a beloved 5 subscribers, and I am over the moon. I'm born on the 5th day of the month, and I think 5 is a lucky number, and I am just so grateful for every single one of you. Today is going to be the general energies reading for starting Saturday, October 19th, all the way through October 26th. It is just kind of a rough weekly reading, and definitely take what resonates and just leave the rest. If you feel like the messages are not meant for you, then definitely don't sweat it. You could either choose a different pile, or maybe some of the the energies are just not resonating for you for this week. To celebrate both the growth of my channel and my subscribers, starting on Saturday next week, when we do the weekly energies, there will be a second video that I post that is Halloween themed. It is going to be my first personal reading. It's going to be me reading the energies of you and another person. So I don't do that often. I usually only do that for myself. So it's going to be one of the first times that I'm doing that for an audience. And I'm going to announce the theme of it on that day, just because a lot of readers are doing different Halloween themes, and I want it to be a surprise. But I promise you, I won't leave you in too much suspense. You'll know on the 26th. And in addition, as a special thank you for my beloved 5 subscribers, if during the reading on the 26th, the Halloween special reading, what I do is, in addition to reading cards, I do create card bags, like I sew bags. For instance, this is the bag that I made for my self-care deck by DejaDrewit. And what it is it's a lined bag. It's professionally sewn, and I always do like creative things. Like for instance, the self-care cards are all black and white on the back, but then they're watercolor throughout the deck. So what I did is I did a card bag that was black satin on the outside, and then a gradient satin, and then rainbow on the strings. So I do this for specialty decks. I do have an Etsy shop, but in addition to that, I wanted to do a special thank you and kind of a giveaway. When I post the special Halloween personal reading video on Saturday the 26th, it'll be in addition, it'll be a second video other than the weekly energy one. I am giving away a tarot bag. Now this looks a little fearsome. I wanted to do something that was both tarot and a little bit Halloweenish. So there's a few, you could you could do, say it's Halloween or Day of the Dead, or, but what it is it's a card patterned outside, and it's lined with an orange satin, and it has black ribbons. There's a little bit of piping, and this is a handmade item, so there's a little bit of imperfection, but I assure you it's very soundly made. And this honestly would hold, if you have the Halloween Oracle by Stacey DeMarco, this would actually be a great bag for that. But other than that, it would also hold regular tarot or oracle cards. And I just thought that it would be a kind of a fun Halloween themed. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be giving this bag away. This is going to be a gift to those who like, comment, or subscribe on for the personal Halloween video on the 26th. And definitely you're going to have all the details coming up on that. So stay tuned. That's coming next Saturday, and that's on its way. Now, I apologize if you hear some crackling in the background. What that is right around my birthday, the first week of October, the weather always snaps and it gets really cold. And I knew it was going to do it, and I have really old windows. They're really archaic, and it gets really cold in my room. The moment we have any type of drop in temperature, I just feel every gust of wind, and it's been windy today. So well in advance, I bought one of those insulator kits, like one of those plastic things. It's basically like it's double-sided tape that you put around the edge of your window, and then you put up this like clear plastic. And believe it works really well, but I'm not the best at home improvement, and I'm a little bit vertically challenged. So I am this short girl on a step stool, trying to evenly distribute plastic over a very tall, wide window. So I'm sure the neighbors got a fun, picture show that day and probably thinks I'm nuts. But there was a little bit of gaping. I didn't quite get the plastic as smooth. So, and like I said, it's been windy today. So if you're hearing a crinkling sound, that's kind of just the bulk of the plastic, going in and out. It's the blissful sounds of insulation. Hopefully a lower energy and heating bill as well. But if you do hear a little bit of crinkling, please disregard. I'm hoping it doesn't affect sound quality on the video. So to get into it, we have 3 decks. The first deck is so this is your weekly energies. Let me go ahead and what we'll do is you have your choice of 3 decks, and then I will be clarifying your reading. Whatever deck you choose, we'll pull cards from your tarot. And then to clarify, I'm going to be using the Earth Magic Oracle cards by Stephen D. Farmer. Those are really, really cool cards. I've never used them on the channel yet, so I've used them personally. This is the first time you'd be seeing them though. And then as promised, I'm going to finish off your reading with the self-care, look at that. They're talking already. These are the self-care cards by DejaDrewit. And what they are is they just kind of give really sweet activities. It's kind of like your mission if you choose to accept it. It's an activity that you can do for yourself sometime throughout the week that would just give you a piece of calm. It's just something that you can do to take care of yourself. And I really love that premise. Self-care is so important. We get so busy, we get caught up in life. We don't really take a moment to take care for ourselves. So at the closure of your reading, I'll pull one of those cards. Now, the first deck that we have is this actually has a pretty good story to it, and I'll just run through it real quick. Again, if you want to jump to your reading, the timestamps are in the description box. I've told you in stories before, this is the first stone I've ever bought. I bought it at a store called the Crystal Fox in Laurel, Maryland. It's been around forever. It's a new age store that's so awesome. Now, I thought that this was a lavender quartz, but it might very well be, what do you call it? I was looking it up in the book a minute ago. The other purple stone. It's a Pisces birthstone. But but it's a beautiful pyre. It's absolutely gorgeous. But this is the first stone that I've ever bought for my cards, so it's antique. And this is actually the first deck I ever bought, like literally ever bought. And I made the monumental mistake, and I'm definitely going to be giving you some more stories. There's an event that's coming in January. I'll give you a heads up. In January, there's something called 31 Days of Tarot, and I'm going to be participating in that. I'm really excited, but I'll go over more details there. But they, you know, back in the days when I was learning tarot, it was back in the days when really you'd go to, when you wanted to learn about something, you went to the library, went to the Rolodex, or went to the Encyclopedia Britannica, so I'm a little bit ancient, but and I didn't know that, you know, when you're learning the tarot, sometimes the best course of action is to go with a basic deck like the Rider-Waite Myth, and I just loved the images. These are Art Nouveau images. And I thought this was a pretty deck, and it was pretty, and I wanted to learn on the pretty deck. And unfortunately, that is a little bit of the thing that you don't do when you're learning tarot. And I didn't know that at the time, and I learned the hard way. But this is the Tarot Art Nouveau deck. It's actually a Scarabeo, which is a popular producer of tarot. And if you actually look at this, I'll call it out. I'll show it to you. Copyright 1998, baby. Made in Italy. The cardstock is fantastic. So, but pile number one, that is it's the first stone. It's my first deck, literally, and so that's pile number one. Pile number two, I actually used this deck. This deck debuted. I've had this deck for a long time. It is the Tattoo Tarot Ink and Intuition, and all of the artwork is tattoo, and I love this deck. I debuted this deck in the High Priestess, the How to Tarot High Priestess video that I just did this last Tuesday, and your stone is a volcano rose quartz, so it's a really pretty bright red, and it just goes with the cards so well. And if I'm saying the artist's name right, the person who does the font on it is a graphic artist designer, but the person who actually does the tattoo work, I believe their name is McMahon, if I'm saying that correctly, but the name and the description is all in the description box below, and that is pile number two. That's a super special deck. I would get the High Priestess. I said in the High Priestess How to Tarot, I'd get the High Priestess from this deck tattooed on my body if I were brave enough. I'm just not brave enough, and I think my mom would kill me. So third deck, last one. This one's actually a very special deck as well. This is the Slow Tarot. And this is by this was actually done over 8 years, and I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm sorry. This is a tarot deck that was made of actual paintings done. This is the Slow Tarot by Lacey Bryant. And Lacey Bryant is a artist, a painter from California. And I absolutely love her images. All the pages are children. I always get a kick out of that. But she has a very real deck. It's very modern. You know, it still retains its illusion and its, you know, imagery. But it took her 8 years, and all of the images in that deck were actually paintings that she did. And she just wanted to reinvent the tarot in kind of a modern way. You know, all tarot is kings and queens and knights and courts, and here she made it very real with people and events. And I just, you've never seen that deck before. It was a Kickstarter project that I ordered, and I'm happy to share it with you. I'm excited. The stone that goes with that is a bloodstone. It has this beautiful, if you can see, I'm sorry, I'm filming at night, but it has this beautiful, it's kind of, bloodstones are kind of half of a burgundy brown, and then half this beautiful kind of teal green. And so I just think it pairs so beautifully with the cards. And then, okay, so those are your 3 decks. Oh, just to caution you, in the Art Nouveau and in the Slow Tarot, there are a few cards, not very many, but there's a few cards that have what I call nakey bits or nudie bits. They're bits, where it is a card that has flat out nudity. A few of them actually show the below the waist of women, and unfortunately, I mean not unfortunately, but it's a PG channel. YouTube monitors for language and for graphic, and unless I mark the video over 18, which I might do in the future, I might do a mature video if we're talking about, you know, seduction stuff. But since this is just general energies, what I will need to do is, if you do get a card that has naked bits, I'm gonna have to emoji you. And I'm sorry to have to do that to you, but I promise you, I've got several emojis, and they're all cheeky. We can get the googly eyes, you can get the blowing kisses, or you can get the hard eyes, but we're gonna have to, yeah, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to cover your bits. Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and pause the video and let you choose your decks, and I'll see you in just a moment. Okay, we're back. Let's go ahead and get your energy started. I appreciate it while you listen to my spiel. Okay, pile number 1. Energies for the week. Wow, you're coming out. That was what I call a tap. I think you've seen that before, where when it goes like this, it means that's your card. So, and third card. Energies for pile 1. Wow. Okay. It's noted that the Six of Wands and the Six of Wands, which is victory, and the Eight of Swords, which is feeling trapped. And Seven of Pentacles. Okay. I'm noting the cards that are kind of speaking to me, so, okay, let's go ahead and clarify. You get a little bit of a profile of a woman's butt, but you're not getting full-on nudity. I don't think that you get a side glance. Okay. Okay, that's kind of sticking out. I think I'm going to go, feeling like we might want to go with 2 clarifiers, just to kind of give you a rounded. We're not doing any dice today, so. And pile 1, what is your self-care activity? What can pile 1 do for themselves to take care of themselves this week? Pile 1, what can we do? Okay, this is sticking out. You can see this, right? I think that's your card. So we're going to put it face down, and we'll turn it around when we get to it. One other thing that I love about being a card reader is just that you don't get to see my face. There'll be a few videos that you do, because I'm kind of glasses girl today. I'm just trying to stay warm. And you may see my rings too. I'm a ring person, and if there's a story behind the ring, I'll tell you, and there's quite a few, but okay. If you've heard in other videos, that's my friendly neighborhood dude with no muffler, or car that he's modified to sound like it has no muffler, so I think he's going to be a regular visitor in just about every single reading. All right, I'm going to stop blabbering. Let's get on. All right, pile number 1, your week, October 19th through October 26th. The start of the week is going to be, you got the King of Swords. And the King of Swords, okay, there's a little bit of nudie bits. I'm going to just put a little happy face there. All right, so you got the King of Swords. And what it is the King of Swords is a very mental character. A lot of decks have him playing a game of chess, or sometimes it's a very mental guy. And so I think the beginning of your week is going to be a very thought-provoking one. You're going to be feeling very strategic. There's going to be either relationships or matters at work, or just matters in life in general, that are going to require you, almost like a game of chess, for you to look at the situation and determine in a very logical and rational way what your next move is going to be. And you're very much, I don't see any emotion until you get to the end of your week. And honestly, a few of the cards that wanted to pop out were cards that talked about victory talked about being trapped, and talked about evaluation. And they were all, they were swords, they were pentacles, and they were wands, which it just really tells me that you might feel like you're in a position where you have to kind of make a move to get what you want, to get victory or to get unstuck. And I just think that you're going to be leaning very heavily on your mental facilities, or there's just something about this situation at the beginning of the week that's going to require you to kind of think about where you're at, what resources you have, and what move you need to make to get where you want to be. By the middle of the week, you have the Eight of Pentacles. The Eight of Pentacles actually came up, I want to say, I get my readings a little, they start to merge a little. But the Eight of Pentacles is planning. And again, this is the deck that doesn't really, it's different from the Rider-Waite-Smith. But in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, it shows somebody who is kind of carving out a pentacle, and behind them they have 7 pentacles up on the wall. And here you see someone who's kind of looking at a picture and kind of evaluating it, but the Eight of Pentacles means that you are honing some type of skill, either that or I feel like you're just really hard at work at something. I feel like this strategy, whatever you're thinking about, whatever move you're going to make, you're kind of in the thick of it, is the vibe I'm getting. You're in the thick of either learning something or honing some kind of craft. Either that or you're just working really hard at work, and you're deciding, okay, what do I need to do? Because the other thing is I'm seeing swords here in the beginning of the week, I'm seeing pentacles in the middle of the week, and then I'm seeing cups at the end of the week. So what that kind of tells me is you got a little bit of everything. You kind of got plates spinning in just about every realm there is. You got plates spinning in your head, you got plates spinning at work or in the fiscal monetary sense, and then by the end of the week you're going to have something emotional or something relationship related. So I think you're just trying to keep all of your plates spinning, and you're working really hard to make that happen. I just think that you're doing something to learn or to be better. And I really also think, I get the feeling, I didn't see the Four of Pentacles, but I definitely saw the Eight of Swords, where it kind of seems like you're holding back. I think you're kind of leaning back and looking at a situation, really analyzing the heck out of something. The other thing is that the King of Swords can also be the guy who ruminates, like he just goes over and over and over and over. Sometimes he'll even go to his friends, and it's not a bad thing. Your friends are there to listen to you and help you, but you'll go over it and over it and over it. Like you will run through a scenario until it is raw, because you want to do the right thing. And here, the other thing about the Eight of Pentacles is they're kind of perfectionists. The reason that he has 7 pentacles behind him is because he wants to perfect it. He wants a perfect pentacle. So I get the feeling that in the beginning of the week, you're going to be looking at some kind of situation and working really hard to make it perfect. You want it to be, you either want the right thing to say, the right thing to do. You just want to make the perfect step. Whatever step you're considering, you want it to be perfect. Then by the end of the week or by the weekend, you got the Two of Cups. And again, there's not too many naked bits. There's, you get a little bit of a side thrill there. But and what that is a romantic card. It is two people coming together and, sharing emotion. It's coming together and telling each other how they feel. Either that, or if this is a spouse or a loved one, it really feels more like a love relationship, between two people, like a couple. But I just think by the end of the week, you're either going to be spending time with your loved one, or there's going to be some kind of overture that you're trying to extend. You really want to reach out and talk to someone. And the vibe I'm getting is you can see that this guy his body language is not really squared towards her, but she is leaned in, like she's completely leaning into him. I'm getting a feeling like you really want that to be the outcome. I think I'm getting kind of the vibe that whoever it is that you're approaching, or whomever the person that you want to talk to, you want them to be receptive. That's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. And you're putting all this work into this action being well received. I'm kind of reading that. You want this action to be well received. And the body language of this guy isn't exactly defensive, but it's not exactly mirroring hers. So I do still think it is a little bit like the Knight of Swords. What that tells me is it kind of, you don't really get a guarantee, and I'm sorry, you don't get a guarantee that even after all this planning that this is going to work. But I can tell you, if you've put this much thought into it, you know, energy follows thought. So if you have good intentions, but I do see that just that his body language is a little bit guarded. I don't think that it isn't that he doesn't want to. I just think that he, after putting all this work into it, he's not just going to lay his heart out on a platter, you know. He's going to kind of pause and be like, okay, did this go over the way I wanted it to? That's kind of the feeling. And your oracle cards really reiterate that too, because you got vulnerability, you know? And here you go. Look at his body language, you know? You know, when they always say wherever someone's knees or shoulders are pointing is where their attention is. And you can see he's a little bit turned away. You can tell that this woman has his undivided attention, but he's a little bit turned away. And I think that's the universe's way of telling you that it's okay to be vulnerable, that it's okay for you to take a chance. But you did also get the what they call wake-up call, a tsunami. And that doesn't, what that kind of tells me is that I think what you're afraid of, and definitely with the King of Swords, the thing about this, I'm trying to keep your emoji in place. Sorry. All right. So the one thing about the Knight of Swords is you look at this guy and he's not he's a little bit of a prickly character, right? He's not the most open. And you can almost see the chest almost looks the same, the way that the shoulders is squared. It almost looks like the same character. It just looks like a young version of the king. But, and you see how he has this woman who also has red hair, by the way. I don't know if maybe someone that you're dealing with has red hair, but she's kind of laying at his feet, and he's not even really looking at her. But I think what it's telling you is that I think what you're afraid of is you're afraid that if you do make this overture at the end of the week, that the dam might break. You have all this emotion behind all of this, you know, perfectionism, behind all of this wanting it to be perfect, and let me think about it, let me plan it out, let me make sure that it works. I think you're afraid to be vulnerable because you're afraid that if you become vulnerable, that it'll all come flowing out. Everything that you want to tell this woman or everything that you want to tell this person might kind of just, and you know what, that I'm not going to tell you to do that, because definitely, you know, it's up to you. If those boundaries, that dam is in place for a reason. But the other thing is, I also see that there's kind of a full moon in the background. And the full moon rules the tides. That's usually a time when, if you're going to, you know, let all of your emotions out, it's usually on a full moon. But so that might be why you're guarded. But I see that lavender and sunflowers, lavender is healing and sunflowers is good self-esteem. I think the universe or your message, your guidance is just saying that kind of be a little bit vulnerable. You're going to feel like the dam is breaking a little bit, but don't be afraid of that. You know, sometimes just showing a little bit of your emotion is a good thing. It tells the other person what your intentions are, and that builds trust. So you have a great week. I think you're going to start off a little bit, strategic, and then, you're really you're going to hone your plan, and then it looks like you're going to have a little bit of a romantic weekend. And it is Halloween weekend on the 26th, so I don't know if you'd be going out to parties with your lovey, but I don't know, sometimes events, times in the season like Halloween, Thanksgiving. I know Halloween doesn't seem like a romantic holiday, but anytime you go out in public, it's kind of so many relationships, they're like, I don't want no labels, but the moment you go out to like a Halloween party with someone, or the moment you go to a Thanksgiving dinner, I know the events with family is the more serious deals, but going to a Halloween party makes a statement too. So maybe that's what that pertains to. Okay, so let's go ahead and get your self-care card. You got Sense. So it's in very small font, but it says S-E-N-S-E. Sorry. And what that is you see that the girl is kind of testing makeup on the back of her hand, and you kind of see one eye is a little bit more done up than the other. I think what they mean by sense is they talk about your sensory perception. Like, I know sometimes if I'm having kind of a stressful day, in astrology, hands rule communication. And I communicate a lot in my everyday. So sometimes just going into the bathroom on my break and just running my hands under hot, warm water, it just kind of cleanses. It just kind of feels good. Maybe if, it's getting to the time of year where you might be using hand lotion more often, if you just kind of give yourself a gentle massage, just kind of rub it into your skin and just kind of feel. Also, the fact that she's testing out makeup, that could be fashion sense. It could be, a sense of color. And again, because this weekend, the 26th, the end of the week is going to be coming up on Halloween, you might be testing out, how you do a trial run of your costume. I don't know if you could kind of play, it always feels good. I always like to kind of test out my everyday makeup with Halloween makeup. Have you ever done that where you're like, oh, okay, this lipstick is really for my costume, but it would make my lips look fierce if I wore it with this suit, to work. So I think it's just kind of saying, maybe play around like that. Either give yourself something sensory through, touch, or, the way that you do your makeup, or maybe try out really new colors, and just kind of feel it. Just see how you feel wearing it, see how it makes you feel. And that would be a good self-care activity for the week. Okay, pile number 1. So I'm going to keep your emoji in place until we're hiding. Sorry to be so stodgy. I want to do the right thing when it comes to, the rules. Okay, that was a great reading, pile 1. Okay, pile number 2. You got the volcano quartz. I'm sorry, the nighttime lighting does not do this gemstone justice. I have a heart volcano quartz that we will be using for the personal reading on the 26th, and I'll show it to you at that time. But it goes with goes with a very special deck. Hint, hint, wink, wink. That we will be using on Saturday the 26th. I'm so excited. I can't wait to do this video. I need to just. And I know I keep teasing you. I'm sorry. Okay, so pile number 2, you got the Tattoo Tarot. So you got the bottom of the deck is awesome, but you got the Tattoo Tarot. I did this in the How to Tarot video for High Priestess, but just to let you know, this is what they call a pip deck. And pip deck is where the major arcana is traditional major arcana where it has a story, but the regular cards, like the wands, the minor arcana, all of the elements are just, you'll see just wands, just cups. There's no story, there's not really any illustration, and that's what they refer to as a pip deck. So I should have told you that in the beginning, but it still reads the same. If I know if I see the 8 of Wands, I know what that means, but it's not going to give you as much imagery as like a Rider-Waite-Smith or a Morgan Greer would. or a Art Nouveau. So, okay. All right. You got 3 cards right off the deck. You saw that, right? Okay. So pile number 2, your week. And we're going to do 2 oracle cards because I think that's going well. It actually feels a little, I know I ramble on, but it feels a little bit brief without either a second oracle card or maybe some dice. I love me some dice, and you know, any excuse. Okay, pile number 2, your week. Please give me pile number 2's week. Ooh, did there one? No, okay. Pile number 2, what is your week? Ah, that one flipped. Okay, pile number 2, what is your week? Pile number 2's week. Clarify, what can pile number 2? Okay, pile number 2. Pile number 2. Okay, that one kind of flipped. Okay. The stone that I have for my oracle deck is actually a dragonfly. I really like this one. It's one of my favorite images for very personal reasons. Okay. Your self-care card, pile number 2. What is pile number 2's self-care card? Ooh, all right. You saw that, right? Okay. That flipped right out. I'm not even going to bother to turn that over. Actually, 2 came out together, so I'm sorry. I'm not trying to give anyone any special treatment, but they were right behind each other, and they seem kind of like the same thing. So we're just going to leave them out because there's no sense. All right, so pile number 2. Wow, you got kind of a powerful week. So to start off the week, you got the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune is a turn of fate. It usually means karma. It also means the end, well, the world means the end of a cycle, but the Wheel of Fortune, it's funny, karma gets kind of a bad rap. So many people think that karma is, that the definition of karma is if I do good, I get good. If I do bad, I get bad. And that is kind of true. That is kind of true because I do believe, and I believe that energy kind of goes in threes. If you do something to someone that it might come back a little bit. But the purpose of karma is just like energy. If you look at magnetic energy, there's kind of spirals, and there's an upward spiral and a downward spiral. And the purpose of karma, and if you believe in astrology, if you study astrology, when you come to this earth, you choose an astrological chart. You have certain strengths in that chart that you exude in this life. Those strengths can have a positive expression or a negative expression. Now, normally you have what I call kind of padlocks in your chart. If you believe in reincarnation, I'm not saying I do or I don't, but if you believe in reincarnation, what it means is that if you've abused a certain trait in the past, like maybe you were a tyrant or you were, if you just exuded some kind of personality trait to an extreme. Okay, dude with no muffler, let's let him go by. All right. But if you exude a certain trait that's detrimental, what it is it's the universe's way of saying, okay, you were put on this planet to use your traits to the benefit of yourself and others. You can use your traits to a negative end. You have that ability. Now, most charts, and it's usually indicated by your Saturn, but most charts will say, okay, there might be an area that you might have abused in another life, and it just really puts a padlock on it in this one. It makes it very difficult for you to go back to that bad behavior. And with the Wheel of Fortune, what it's kind of saying is, what you see is in the illustration of the Wheel of Fortune is that there's someone who's kind of on top of the world there. And then you see someone who's kind of falling and going to the bottom. And then you kind of see the snake and kind of the dog, which is loyalty, going back up to the apex of the wings at the top. And what that means is that, yes, we're here and we're living our existence, and just because, it doesn't make anybody good or bad if you're exuding bad karma. It just means that you're kind of going through life and say, for instance, you end up kind of not necessarily using someone for your own end, but you wanted what you wanted and it ended up hurting someone. What that means is that it kind of means that the Wheel of Fortune is coming to the end of the time period where that event has happened, and if it's just kind of like the wheel is turning, the clock is ticking. We have come out of that stage of whatever event has been happening up until now, and now we are moving on to a new cycle. So when you see the Wheel of Fortune, and I know that sounds really heavy, it's a major arcana, and it's like, okay, we're just describing the week. Why do we have to get so into like fate and destiny? And oh gosh, am I going to be punished because I yelled at the mailman? No, it's nothing like that. Karma just wants you to do right. And what it says is, it says, okay, if you're learning your lessons and say you have a weak moment where you just really didn't exude the personality that we really wanted you to, it might come back a little bit. But here, what I'm seeing is, I'm seeing that we're kind of coming towards the end of the year, and what you're going to start seeing is you're going to start seeing the wheel turn. And here, I'm not getting that this is a very fast movement, but I do see that there's something happening in your life this week that is based on previous events. And I can't tell you what those previous events are. I would kind of need clarifiers to do that. But, all right, here, I'll do you a favor. I will pull one card as a clarifier. The other piles are going to be mad at me, but okay, Wheel of Fortune. All right. Okay, you got two cards, and I'm just going to read them real quick. And again, if anybody else needs a clarifier, we'll do it, just because the Wheel of Fortune is a heavy card. To clarify the Wheel of Fortune, you got the Four of Wands and you got the Two of Swords. Two of Swords is a stalemate. It's the, not wanting to face something. It's things are going on and no one's moving. It's an impasse. The Four of Wands is a kind of, it's referred to as a marriage card, but it usually means the four pillars of the foundation. It usually means a house. It means a house. I don't know if maybe there's some kind of deliberation either about a home or some kind of living agreement, but basically you're at a stalemate and it's been going on for a long time. Either that or you've been going back and forth and neither party is taking any action. And so that is coming, that is like sand through an hourglass, that is coming to an end. That cycle or whatever's happening is going to need to eventually meet a resolution, but right now there's no action. No one's taking any action and everyone's just like at a halt. But action needs to be taken. So I don't know if there's something that's related to a house or some kind of property, but that's going to start moving in the next by the beginning of next week. You're going to hear some kind of word about the previous actions. And I really want to say each of these characters kind of represent 3 months. So I want to say that this has been events that have led up either in the last 9 months or the last year that have led up to now. By the middle of the week, you're going to be kind of holding your own. The Four of Pentacles in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith is the guy holding on to his pentacles. I call it the Ebenezer Scrooge card, but what it is it's really you just kind of bunkering down. Whatever it is that's happening here is going to make you want to go into reserve mode. You're going to kind of lay low, you're going to hold on to your money, and you're really just going to kind of you're definitely in a stance where whatever's happening here, they need to come to you, and you're not going to be really ready to give up any ground or to give up any money. I just think that you're standing firm, and it might be contributing a little bit to the stand off too. I'm not going to lie, the moment you see the Four of Pentacles and the Two of Swords, you've ever heard of, yeah, that's a standoff. That's drawing a line in the sand saying, you need to come over my line and I'm not coming over that line, and no one's moving. It doesn't make anybody wrong, but I'm just saying that that's your energy. You're not giving in. You're going to dig in and say, no, this is what I want. And you kind of see in the background, I like this tattoo because in the different pentacles you have a stone and you have what looks like, there's different images, but in the background you see the snake and the figure 8. That reminds me so much of the Magician. It's a little bit of the infinity symbol, but snakes can be deception, but usually they're like the secret of life, the alpha and the omega, and they're also rebirth. So I think you're holding out for some kind of rebirth, but it's definitely at a standstill, and it will still be at a standstill by the middle of the week. You might be hearing there might be some opening of discussion regarding it, but this is going to be coming to a close. It's going to be cycling out. Now, by the end of the week, you got the King of Wands. And I like the King of Wands. He's a fiery character. In different decks, I definitely like his depiction in this deck. On his hand, he has a tattoo of a diamond and 2 roses, which kind of means, consistent love. Now, him being the king and him having a beard, because of course, the moment you have a beard, you're mature, right? In theory. But the king is actually a mature character. All kings are mature. The last deck got the King of Swords, but the King of Wands, they're very warm. Usually they can mean Aries, even though I think Emperor when I see Aries. I usually think Leo. And the only reason being is because I've had former managers in my life, in my working life, that were Leo, and they were just warm. They were warm. They were just, you get around them and they just made you feel better. They were just being in their aura or being in their presence felt like a warm hug. But the other thing about the King of Wands is he's almost like the Knight of Wands all grown up. So even though he is warm and even though he is outgoing, that does not make him a wilting violet, not by any stretch. He likes to take action. He knows how to take action. He's taken action many times before. So by the end of the week, I feel like you're going to be coming out of your bunker. And I think something about this, maybe there's some negotiations that are coming around that is going to get you stoked. That's the vibe I'm getting. But it's going to get you stoked. You're going to get excited. Like, oh, thank you, Lord. Thank you, universe. I can finally actually do something about this. And the other thing it tells me is that whatever action you're taking will be on your terms too. Because, almost like legal matters, when you say, no, I'm not going to settle for any less than this, you're not going to do me like that. That kind of is what it feels like. And it kind of feels like something is going to concede and meet you halfway, and you're just going to want to go, Mach 5, like, yay, we can move forward on this. But you do it in a very mature way. The fact that you're exuding this energy as the King of Wands and not just a page or something like that means that you're excited about it. You're so thrilled that something's actually happening, but you're not going to go foolishly into it. And it does also tell you that it would probably behoove you to be very warm about it. If somebody else is conceding or giving you what you want, possibly at the loss to them, do it with grace. Don't just be like, be like, okay, I'm glad that we came to this compromise. Make them feel warm about it. And I think you will. Now, your oracle cards, you got childhood, which means innocence, and you got communion. And so I kind of get 2 different energies from this. With the childhood, I get the feeling like there's some elements of this situation that's either making you feel like a child or it's making you kind of wish for simpler days. Maybe all this adulting is kind of getting on your nerves. The other thing is that this situation may involve family. It might involve a sibling, or just, something that kind of makes you feel like a child. You know what I mean? Something about this situation. I mean, the fact that you got a king, by the time you go to resolve the situation, you're not feeling like a kid, but there is something about, just wishing that you could either that, or you might be wishing that you can go back to the simpler times. It's like, okay, why does everything have to be so complicated? Why do I have to hold my own? Why can't it just be like when I was a kid, when it, I didn't have to worry about these kind of problems? I also think that the fact that this is advice, it might also be telling you to kind of lighten up. Either that, or to just, it might be encouraging to do something fun. And if you're having trouble thinking about what's fun for you, you might want to revisit the activities that you did as a child. Maybe you like to go fishing, or maybe you like to visit, you just got out in nature. And it doesn't have to be really fancy nature either. It can just be a patch of grass somewhere that just makes you feel like you were away from all this. You know what I mean? Just get away from all this. It'll make you feel better. And then the other card is Eagle, which is communion. And here, this is kind of like connecting to spirit. Also, it might be connecting to spirits of ancestors. I'm a little bit more traditional in my religious beliefs, but there's definitely plenty of readers and different beliefs that talk about connecting, that maybe if all of this does involve some kind of property or some kind of family thing, that it might be good to kind of, and the other thing that tells me this is that when we get to your other cards, your self-card was meditate. And meditate is, you can talk to, if you believe in animal guides, or if you believe in spirit guides, or if you believe that you can speak to ancestors who have passed, you can do that in a meditative state, and that might give you guidance. So if these events have been, going on a long time, that really wears you down. And if you're really longing, if you're either feeling like a novice at this, or you just feel like you don't know what to do, I would say, just kind of meditate and ask for some higher guidance, whether that be from God or the universe, your spirit guides, your ancestors, because I do think the answers are there. And I think it would also give you a peace of mind. And but definitely you'll have some action. The King of Wands, like I said, he's a hot tamale character. He's ready to go, and he knows what to do as well. So that's good news if you've been waiting for an outcome. So to wrap up, you've got your oracle cards. The universe, and again, this kind of plays into your advice. It really is telling you to get some rest. It's telling you to at any moment that you don't have to be in your King of Wands energy, because I know there's going to be moments that this is required, but anytime you don't have to be in that energy, I think it's really telling you to utilize that downtime. I was watching a great video on YouTube that talked about the benefits of naps. And it was very informative. I'm not a big napper, but I actually took a 20-minute nap not too long ago, a few weekends ago, and it was the greatest thing. It recharged my batteries. So I think here it's telling you that, yes, it is telling you that you would want to connect. If you practice meditation, you may want to do that a little bit more frequently this week. And then definitely any time that you can get a nap in, or just lay down, maybe even meditate while just closing your eyes, check your eyelids for light leaks. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can even do that at work. I'm not telling you to sleep at work, but if you have a 5-minute break and you just kind of close your eyes and just kind of breathe and follow your breath like you do when you're meditating, I think that would be most helpful for you, and I think that's what it's asking you to do. Okay, pile 2. I hope I didn't get too long-winded. That was interesting. I hope whatever you got going on resolves itself in a good way, in your favor. All right, pile number 3. I got to get your emojis because there are a few nakey bits in this one, but it's a great deck. I love this deck. So you had the Bloodstone, and pile 3. What is your week? Ooh, this deck does like to speak to me. Okay, so card number 1. Thank you. Pile number 3. Ooh, okay. All right. Okay. I'm making notes of anything that's kind of popping out. All right, making sure we stay in focus. Ooh, all right. I told you there were naked bits. You got bits. I'm gonna go ahead and give you the sending a smooching a heart emoji on that one. Let me make sure that you're not, okay. Now these images, I also have to caution you, are very real. They're very real, and that's what I like about this deck. It's quite poignant, and it's very diverse, and I like that. But just keep that in mind. All right, so pile number 3, your week. What advice do you have for your week? We're gonna get 2 cards. Pile number 3. The week 19th through the 26th. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Oh, that makes so much sense. Okay, pile number 3, your second oracle card, please. One more, please. Pile number 3, energies for your week. Okay. I really, not to shuffle too much, but I really like it when it definitely pops out, because that's your card. Pile number 3, energies for your week. Pile number 3. Okay, I'm gonna go with this one because it was really kind of sticking out. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and get your weekly pile number 3. What can they do to take care of themselves this week? Pile number 3. Okay, this is kind of going out, so I'm going to go with that. It's kind of falling out from under my thumb. So I'm going to stand a little bit, stretch the legs. Okay. All right, so pile number 3. The beginning of your week is going to start off on a really liberating, I believe that there's an endeavor, there's something that you're doing that is going to be like a new journey for you. So you got the Fool. And it's fun. We had to tarot on the Fool not too long ago, but you see how he's taking the leap off the cliff, and I love her painting. It's so bright. But you can see he's taking the leap of faith, and it looks like his dog is just so happy. He's just leaping behind him. He looks like a Jack Russell Terrier or something. And so what the Fool represents is it's taking that leap of faith, and you can see we talked about the flowers too. She didn't forget the flowers in the Fool, but it's the leap of faith. And so there's something that you are endeavoring. It's something that you're beginning that's going to start next week. That's going to really feel like that leap of faith. It's going to be something that it may not necessarily be something that you've never done before, but it's definitely going to make you feel like you're taking that first step off the cliff and endeavoring to do something new. What we talked about before with the Fool, the beautiful thing about the Fool is that, you know, he has an unbridled sense that everything is going to be okay. Like if you look at his face, he's not afraid. He doesn't think he's going to fall. It's almost like he doesn't even know that falling can happen, So his arms are outstretched like he's about to fly. And there's something that you're beginning that is going to be an endeavor like that. It's going to be something brand new that you just feel like, I'm stepping off the cliff, I'm spreading my wings, I'm really going to fly. Now, in the middle of the week, and sorry, I got to keep your emoji where you can see it, but you did, and I don't want you to be afraid, you did get temptation, which is the devil. And temptation, if you look closely, you see in the background, there's lots of food, there's kind of streamers, you kind of see 2 people laying intertwined, and that kind of hints at the sexuality. You see a glass of wine in their hand. Now definitely there are no bad cards in tarot. But there are definitely archetypes, and just like death, just like the Tower, the devil is an archetype, and here in this deck it's called temptation. And I kind of like the fact that it kind of, instead of showing this devil character, here she kind of shows the more lecherous kind of activities in life. So here, what it tells me is, it tells me that you're taking a leap of faith, and the fact that you're leaping away, the fact that he's going off the cliff away from this activity, kind of tells me that there might be something that kind of felt addictive in your life, something that you felt kind of bound to, whether that be money, whether that you know, it could be things, it could be addictions to substances that you just feel are kind of ruling your life. You know, where I feel like towards the middle of the week, you're trying to get away from whatever is holding you back, whatever is holding you down. But I think by the middle of the week, you're gonna feel a little bit at a lull. You're gonna feel like, okay, at the beginning of the week, I've decided that and I love coffee. Let me just say, at the beginning of the week, I say, oh, I'm gonna quit coffee. I'm just gonna do it cold turkey. No more coffee for me. I'll be caffeine free. And then by the middle of the week, then you start feeling those pangs of cravings, like, I need espresso, you know. So I think you start off on a good foot, and I think you start off with every good intention to, you know, cut back, and goodness knows this time of year, especially around Halloween, I've been eating my own Halloween candy. It's already started. We've got 2 weeks left to go. So sometimes if you're dieting, or sometimes if, you know, it doesn't have to be really bad addictions like, you know, alcohol or smoking or something. It could be that too. But what it's telling you is that you start off on this really determined foot, but by the middle of the week, you might be feeling some cravings. You might be kind of, the what has bound you in the past might be kind of pulling at you and trying to get you to fall back into the habit. And it takes 66 days to stop a habit. I know a lot of books say it's 21 days, which is 33 weeks. It's usually a little bit longer than that. And when you think about it, 2 months is a long time. That's a hard journey. So give yourself some slack too, because you have the best of intentions and whatever it is that you're trying to break free from. And this could also be relationships as well. If you have any relationships that are a little bit, and I won't say toxic, but anything that's just not treating you right, breaking away from it could also manifest in this way. Now, for the end of the week, you got one of the most beautiful cards. So you got all major arcana, by the way. You got the Fool, you got Temptation, which is the devil, and then you got the Star. And I love the Star. The Star is one of my favorite cards. I think it really might be my favorite card. And what it is I love this depiction of it too, because you see this woman in a white dress, and she has short hair. And again, these are very real images. So what it looks like to you is probably what it means, is that and to be completely honest, what this woman looks like is, and it kind of is a little bit of an expression of slavery, the way it looks, you know, being on a boat and having the rocky seas. But what that kind of tells me is that in the past, if you were bound to something, of either an addiction or something had you feeling like you were enslaved, what the Star tells us is, it says, look, the sky is parting. And I forget the name of this. You know, I was just talking, someone was telling me all about this. This is the device, the nautical device that sailors would use to chart the stars, to guide their way. And what she's doing is she's looking up at the stars, and she's looking at the North Star, and she's guiding her way. And the seas are still rocky. You know, you still see water coming in on the boat. But like an angel, she's wearing all white. And she's looking at that star, and she sees the clouds going away. She knows the storm is passing. And Lenormand means boats, and the Lenormand mean journeys. And she's definitely going on a journey. So what this means is that you kind of have a powerful week. You definitely have a high energy week. Where you start off on something, you're very determined to do it. You might get pulled back into something in the middle of the week. And again, it just feels like something that has you pinned down. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything scary or bad, but something has you pulled back, something you feel obligated to, something that makes you feel trapped. And then by the end of the week, the skies are parting, and yes, the sea is still rocky. The sea is still, there's still water coming over the side, but you can see the sky. You can see the sky is clearing, and you see the star ahead, and you know that things are going to get better. The star means hope. It means hope. It means that there is something out there. And I think of Fievel from An American Tail. I know that totally dates me, but when somewhere out there, somewhere out there, and it's coming. Don't fear. Things are going to get better, is what it's telling you. And I loved your oracle card, and you saw me when I pulled this. I got all excited. Vigilance. Vigilance. It means, stick it out. Stick it out. You had kind of an uninhibited start. You're like, I'm going to do this and I don't care. Let me fly. Woo. And then, by the middle of the week, the real world kind of sets in and you're like, oh God, this is going to be a little harder. I have a caffeine headache. Oh my God. You're going to have what feels like withdrawal symptoms. But just stick it out. Vigilance, stick it out, just hold your ground. And if you look at it, the sky, you look at the clouds, I love synchronicities. The clouds almost look the same, right? They look like, the same clouds. They're parting, and seagulls too. Seagulls mean that there's land nearby, and there's a seagull in the sky. So it means that she's journeyed across this rocky sea, but land is in sight, and she's almost there. Now, your other oracle card means grounding. And grounding it's definitely that sense of when everything feels rocky, whenever you feel like you're just being thrown about in the boat, your advice is to get grounded. And grounding can be several different things. It's so kind of multifaceted. A lot of times grounding can be going out in nature and just sitting and just feeling the earth, kind of being present, being aware of your surroundings. I've also seen that grounding can sometimes be connecting with people. I do believe that I love the fact that we're in a digital age. I mean, goodness knows I can go on YouTube and learn everything, and that's a blessing, the amount of education that we have available to us. But the disadvantage is that it causes an epidemic of loneliness. I truly believe that. And as human beings, we need human interaction. They even say that when you're feeling lonely, you don't just want to text someone. You need to see their face, at least FaceTime them, if they can't really be there, because you need to see someone's face and you need to hear their voice. I almost want to go on camera now so you can see my face and hear my voice, hug to you. But the tree is grounding. It just basically means that you might want to connect with people in real life, IRL, or if you cannot connect with the person you really want to in real life right now, at least FaceTime them or see their face, or do something to connect with your environment or to get present. The one thing that I had put on my Facebook blog that I thought was very helpful is I went walking around the lake, and it's funny, I had been doing so much, I'd been working so much, and I'd been scrapbooking so much, and I'd been doing card reading so much, I really got pulled into myself where I was not grounded. I was all up in my head, but I wasn't really in my body. I was not really here. And I went for a walk around the lake, and it was funny how I was walking around the lake, but I was still not there. I was still in space. And what I forced myself to do, and this might be a practice, you can do this. This would be a great way to ground yourself. While you're walking, and it doesn't have to be at the lake, it can be at the mall, it can be out in public, anywhere you're going, at the grocery store. Look up, make eye contact with the people who are passing you, and smile. Just make eye contact and smile. And I'll tell you, I was really shy. I was scared to do it at first. I made eye contact with that first person, and I got the warmest smile back. And what I loved about it, it was all these different faces. I had little kids smile at me. I had little, elderly people smile at me. I had teenagers smile at me. And it's funny, you think, oh, okay, they're gonna, just be like, okay, that woman's weird. Why is she smiling at me? No, there's a human connection when you make eye contact and you just smile. It's like a silent way of saying, hello, I like you. And I know that sounds so dorky, right? But it's a connection, and it puts you on earth. It puts you on earth, and it lets you know, I'm here walking this path with other people. I am not alone. And I think it really does ground you. Also, if you like to meditate, or if you like to sit in the grass and just kind of feel the earth, but I do think that when it comes to grounding, having that interaction with people, and of course that can also be with best friends, family members. Call your mom, FaceTime your mom. I need to do that. I'm a hypocrite. Don't listen to me. But yeah, so I think that will help you get through your week. I also think that the grounding, along with the temptation, if you are having a few weak moments, like maybe you are quitting smoking, or you're giving up coffee, and you just need like a buddy to help you through it, call that person. Hear their voice, and definitely get that encouragement, because you're going to have a few weak moments, but you'll be okay. Things do get better. So your self-care activity card is tidy up. I really like this card. I got this not too long ago, and I'm a neatnik. I'm not pristine by any stretch of the imagination, but I like to be tidy, and I do. Things start getting unruly, and so what it's telling you is sometimes you can feel overwhelmed, and it adds to the temptation. Sometimes when you're trying to handle everything, you see how overwhelming all that looks. It's like all this really overly sweet food. It's just, looking at it looks like, God, that's just too much. And, so sometimes, looking at, you come home and there's a pile of laundry that needs to be folded and put away, or there's a sink full of dirty dishes. I always like to say that anytime you knock out one little thing, like for instance, okay, this pumpkin needs to go over there. Let me move the pumpkin and be done. The moment you can knock out little things and just kind of get it out of your visual space, it just makes you feel less chaotic. It helps just stow one little thing and start with the small, fast things. The little things that you can get knocked out like this, go there. But it does say that, and to be honest, it might be telling you that it's time to clean your room. We're not going to sugarcoat it. You don't have to, because if that's stressful, if you've worked all week and you're tired and you don't feel like doing it, again, these are optional. But it is just kind of telling me that it would give you peace of mind. It would make you feel better, either just picking up and like we said, just little things work. You don't have to do a full steam clean of the carpet, nothing like that. But just getting everything off, or, throwing out the trash, or just little things to make it, the visual feel less like it's encroaching on you. I think that would make you feel better. I do know that it's also tax time, so I don't know if there's a lot of papers too. Maybe there's things that you can go through. I know I like to kind of do a purge, Oh, one other thing I wanted to mention, and then we'll wrap up the video, but one other thing that I think of when I think of tidying up, and I just did this recently, is I have a bin that I keep all of my winter clothes in, and it's like in spring and in fall, I go in and I rotate the clothes out. I put the summer clothes away, and I put the winter clothes, I pull the winter clothes out. And those times of the year are always so great to do, not a full Marie Kondo or anything. I do ask myself, have I worn this in the last 2 years? I won't ask it, does it spark joy? But you should, maybe you should. But sometimes that's helpful. That can be a way of tidying up without actually telling yourself, oh, I'm cleaning. If you're rotating winter clothes or just pulling things out, while you're pulling things out, you can say, okay, let me, as I'm putting things away and organizing, let me make a pile for Goodwill. I haven't worn this in 2 years. I'm not going to wear it. It's scratchy, it's itchy, it doesn't fit right, whatever. Put it in that pile, and then I think that would make you feel better. And it definitely, kind of, just makes your visual field feel less, less busy. And that will give you peace of mind. Well, okay, pile 3. Well, I did a lot of talking, but I gave you equal screen time. Everyone got the same amount of time. And here, let me cover up your bits. No bits that you can see. But I had a really good time, and you guys, everyone got emojis this time. we hadn't had any emojis in a while. But okay, so that was your weekly reading. I'm definitely going to make them more concise. I'm going to try to get them down to 45 minutes moving forward, but I do enjoy catching up and giving announcements. Again, please join me on Tuesday for the How to Tarot series. That's where we go over the symbolism. This week on Tuesday, we're going to be talking about the Empress. And oh, the Empress, the culmination of the 4 queens, the beauty, the mother, the nurturer. We're going to go over all her symbolism on Tuesday, so if you'd like to join me, I would love to see you then. And then please join me again on Saturday. So 1 week from today, Saturday the 26th, you're going to have your regular weekly energies reading, and it's going to be a shorter one. And then we're going to do the special Halloween personal reading. That's where we're going to do the bag giveaway, and we'll have all of those details. And I promise I will announce the title of it and let you know what it is, and I hope you enjoy. But I hope that this resonated and that you have a good week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.